The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, people. Here in Southern Oregon, it is overcast. It is 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm here to introduce to you this morning's presenter. Today we're welcoming Email Direct. Email Direct are a full-service email service provider. Let me tell you what I've been told to tell you about Chris, and then I'll add some pieces of my own as usual. So this piece of paper says, Chris Bryan, co-founder and partner of Email Direct, has been in the online marketing industry for over 10 years. His first startup in 2003 was Bluestream Media, a company created to help businesses sell more online through technology and targeted media buys. In 2005, he and three partners decided to focus solely on email, and they started emaildirect.com. Chris's focus at Email Direct is sales and business development. Today, Email Direct is a team of 30 people and serves hundreds of the top email senders. I like that bit particularly, and I'm about to tell you why. Serves hundreds of top email senders from around the world, including, drumroll, ASP.NET Storefront. We indeed use Email Direct. Every time we send you something, it's coming out of Email Direct. And in a moment, I'll take just a second to tell you why we love it so. Turns out all of these people are far less important than we are, but you might want to know that Email Direct also serves the Washington Post, Priceline, Subway, AC Moore, Big Five Sporting Goods, and many more. I've lost count of how many years ago we fell upon Email Direct, but we were looking for an email service provider who could help us with a significant challenge we have about segmentation, who could help us to deliver HTML emails across a huge range of different email clients, who could help us make sure that we were never blacklisted. We came from a history of doing our own email provision and constantly battling with being blacklisted because we were selling sending high volume emails and all the time bumping up against things. So we found Email Direct, and honestly we've been delighted with the power that it delivers to us, both in terms of segmentation before we send and in terms of reporting afterwards. So with all of that being said, I'm going to hand over to Chris. Chris is going to talk to you today about where his company can help, where companies like his, this isn't specifically about Email Direct, it's about how you can smartly send emails and use them to really grow your business. So with no more hesitation, because this is a 30-minute webinar, please can I tell you all, if you'd like to post any questions, use the GoToWebinar question panel, and Chris, I'll be listening, although I'll be honest, with our conference coming up in just a few days, I will probably be running backwards and forwards, half listening, and I'll be back in time to make sure that we deal with any questions that are asked. So
okay, that sounds great.
Thank you. Let me make you the presenter.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Can you see my screen okay now? Let me go ahead and check that. Looks like everything's coming through just all right.
Yep, we can see it just fine. And we can hear you and we can see.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me. What an introduction. It feels great to be here. I am very honored to be the email service provider for Vorts and ASP.NET Storefront. So we are excited to participate in this webinar today. And I'm not going to talk too much today about Email Direct and specifically what we do, but my contact information is up on the screen. If anybody would like to reach out to me after the webinar, during the webinar, feel free. Email is the best way to do that, and I'm here. But today, what we're here to talk about is email automation and targeting strategies that drive sales. And so this webinar is going to focus on strategies that e-commerce stores can utilize to drive sales. So everybody's familiar with email marketing and the idea of sending emails to your customers and your subscribers. But how do we get better at that? How do we take our small, medium-sized businesses and automate trigger emails and target emails like the big boys do, like Amazon does and like Walmart does, and some of these companies that can afford to have developed that technology? Well, these days, a lot of those strategies are very affordable to small and medium-sized businesses, and we're going to talk about some of the strategies that are possible for e-commerce stores to implement without breaking the bank. And so just before we get into some of those strategies, I'm going to go ahead and move on here to this next slide, and we're going to talk about some recent email marketing stats just to kind of get the wheels turning and to help get our brains thinking in a way that, hey, what can I do for my business? What opportunities exist with my customers and my customer life cycles that I can capitalize on to make my emails more familiar and more relevant and drive more revenue from them. So starting from the top, this one came from Incentible, and this speaks to generating subscribers. And it says online retailers with contests on their website generated 9 times more email subscribers, and that is a stat from this year. And that not only speaks to contests that works, but it speaks to having a conversation with your subscribers. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about very specific e-commerce email strategies that you can implement. However, we're always going to back out and talk about being more familiar and relevant to your subscribers. And generating a contest is one idea, and you can see by this stat here that looks like some people have had some big success doing that. So generating a conversation or a contest or something that makes your subscribers want to connect with your brand. That's going to generate you more subscribers and more engagement. Number 2, 11% of the fastest growing online retailers in the U.S. offer a first purchase discount for new email subscribers on their websites. So only 11% of those companies do that, and that number is growing. I can tell you that I see more and more companies deciding to incentivize the first purchase for any customer, because if you are not a customer, the idea is we want to make you our customer, and then we want you to become a repeat customer. And so not only does this stat speak to the growing number of people that are introducing this tactic to their email strategy, but also the opportunity to do a second-time buyer incentive. So if you get a customer that has bought 1 product from you, next step is to get them to buy 2 products from you. So this is looking at your subscribers in more of a segmented way and interacting with them depending on the behaviors that they're exhibiting. Number 3, 39% of brands sent a welcome message. 15 of 27 companies in the study that this particular company, Ciceron, did not make a good first impression, and they did not send a welcome message. So there's a lot of companies that just right out of the gate aren't even addressing their new subscribers with a welcome email. So that's also something that we'll talk about. We'll talk about the importance of being there for your subscribers as soon as they subscribe. When someone puts their email address into your subscriber capture form, however you might be implementing that form, whether it's a pop-up on your website or just a link that they have to click on and go to a form, or a form directly on your website, when they take action there and put their email address in there, you have to follow up with a welcome message, and we'll talk about that as one of the strategies, and something that a lot of companies aren't doing that is just easy to implement. Number 4, 64% of e-commerce shopping carts were abandoned in Q3 of 2012. So the stat's getting a little aged here, but you can see the importance of following up with people that are not completing their purchases. So we'll also talk about triggering out shopping cart abandonment emails and what you need in order to do something like that. Number 5, retailers with upsells in e-receipts created 6 times higher transaction rates and 8 times higher revenue per email compared with bulk mailings. So this one is, kind of a funny one because, everybody, every business owner, every consumer, they have their own taste for what's appropriate in email and when they get it and how they interact with it. Some people are the purists that think a receipt should have nothing in it but text information about what was purchased, and other people are fine as long as it has the prevalent information front and center and maybe a small sidebar content with an upsell opportunity or a cross-sell opportunity or whatever it might be. That could be a appropriate strategy for your business, and that's something that you as a business owner have to decide. But consider that your transactional emails are getting the highest open rate out of any of the emails that you're sending. And so if you can use some of the real estate in those transactional emails to slice away for marketing purposes without frustrating your email subscribers, it could be a huge opportunity for you. So something to think about. What do we got here? Number 6. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 52% of consumers receiving email from retailers this holiday season unsubscribed from at least one. And this stat is actually talking about last holiday season because this is 2013 stats, so we're talking about the last holiday season that just passed. 67% reported receiving too many emails as a reason for their unsubscribing. 45% were no longer interested in that retailer and their goods and services. 37% said content of the emails were relevant, and 18% reported never subscribing for the email updates. This is a stat from StrongMail, a big email solution provider, and this stat is a great one because these are all of the reasons that we see commonly across all internet retailers. So if you're sending out too many emails, people want to get off. So what's the answer to that? Let's give them an option to reduce their email frequency. 45% were no longer interested in that retailer and their goods or services. Well, that's just a problem, and the problem or the solution to that problem is generating more relevant content that your customers and subscribers can sink their teeth into, something that they can connect with, something that they can share with their friends and say, I'm happy to be patronizing this business because this is their values and the type of content that they produce. And it's, if you start a conversation with your subscribers, they're going to stay more interested. And then the last one, 18% never reported subscribing for email updates. Well, that's something that we're going to talk about that is driving familiarity in your email marketing. So definitely something that you want to address and look at from a 30,000-foot view to look at your email program, look at how people are coming into your list, how you're subscribing people to your list, and ensure that it's a very transparent process, that it's black and white. It is they put their email address in and you follow up with them. If you're subscribing people to your list that may not know that they're being subscribed to an email list, obviously you're going to fall victim to this 18% stat here. Oh, let me back up there. Second to last, according to Movable Ink, almost 60% of all email opens in March 13 were on a smartphone. 34% of those were on an Apple device. 23% were on an Android. So this idea of more opens happening on a mobile device is taking hold. So this was something that was predicted at the end of last year, is that in 2013, more email opens were going to happen on a mobile device than were going to happen on a traditional desktop PC or Mac computer, whatever it might be. So it's very important to code and design for your mobile users and not to neglect those users any longer. If you've been putting this off, it's very important now that that you code for mobile, and we'll touch on that briefly in the end. And then the last stat that I have here, the highest triggered message click-through rates were in consumer products, retail apparel, and consumer product pharmaceuticals. So triggered messages are messages that go out on a one-to-one basis. Let's say the user takes a specific action, like they subscribe to your email list or they buy a product. Well, if you trigger out a message to them, that's what we're talking about here. And the highest click-through rates were in consumer products. So that's what we're talking about today. We're selling consumer products. or retail apparel. Some of you might be in the pharmaceutical vertical. However, good news for online retailers is that triggered messages work, and they work great. If your click-through rates don't look like this, 18.5%, 14.5%, 14%, then you're slightly below the benchmark for this particular report from Epsilon, which is a pretty big company. So, I trust that stat. So, the $1 million question, if we can boil it all down to a very, very simple question, what is the $1 million question? Are your emails familiar and relevant to your subscribers? So the hot keywords here are familiar and relevant. So I'm going to break those down a little bit, and we're going to talk about how to drive more familiarity and relevance in your emails. So email marketing or email automation and targeting strategies that drive sales. Are your emails familiar to your subscribers? Are your emails relevant to your subscribers? Let's start with familiarity. Does your email list have a name? Okay, that's step one. Okay, some of these things just hit you over the head sometimes, and a lot of online retailers out there completely fail to give their email list a name. So if you were to ask one of your email subscribers, hey, are you subscribed to, what would you say? Would you say to my emails? Would you say to my company's emails? Or would you give your email list a name and say, are you subscribed to so-and-so company's The Hot List? And if the subscriber knows that your publication has a name and it's something that they can be a part of and subscribe to, then it's much more likely that they're going to develop a connection with the emails that you send, and those emails are going to be more familiar to them. So giving your email list a name is just something that is very simple. Anybody can do. It doesn't take you anything more than a little bit of effort and time. The more clever you can be to put a smile on your subscriber's face when they see your email list name, the better. But if you can't figure something out, just give it a name to start with, so that subscribers understand that they're subscribed to something and that they can get off of it if they want to. That in itself will get your subscribers to stay on your list, because they'll understand that you're being transparent about your email marketing. Next question: do you give your subscribers preferences? So do you allow your subscribers to tell you what they want to get from you? Do you allow them to indicate their preferences? We'll talk about that. Do you consistently provide interesting and memorable content? Because if you're not providing interesting, memorable content, people are going to get off your list. And there's different things for different companies that qualify for interesting or memorable, but we'll talk about that. Let's talk about relevance just real briefly. Are you sending the same thing to everybody? If you're sending the same thing to everybody, you're probably not being relevant to everybody, plain and simple. Do you trigger messages based on customer behaviors? If you're not triggering messages based on your customer behaviors, then you're missing out on opportunity to be more relevant to your subscribers, plain and simple. How timely are your emails? Are you paying attention to when you're sending your emails? If your emails are triggered, they're probably going to be more timely. Are you paying attention to time zones? Are you paying attention to when your best open rates are, what time of the day, what day of the week? So the more timely your emails are, obviously the more relevant they're going to be. So let's talk about some ways to make your emails more relevant here. To make your emails more familiar. Subscribers that recognize your email are more likely to engage with it. So we talked about giving your list a name. Some examples, I came up with the Hot List. Chubby Shorts is a brand that recently came online. They sell men's shorts, and they're a little shorter than the average men's shorts. They kind of look at fashion like it's an ebb and flow. It's going back and forth. They're selling short shorts to active young males. They call their email list The Weekender, and they send it out every Friday, and it's chock full of funny content that hipsters would love to read, funny images, content that surrounds their brand, and the name just makes sense. It's The Weekender because you get it every Friday, and you just want to go, look at the new shorts that they have because they have funny content that makes you smile. Oops, let me back up here. The Tribe is from Barebones Workwear. Barebones Workwear is a clothing, apparel, and uniform manufacturer that sells online. They call their email list The Tribe. And so, obviously, with an email list name like The Tribe, you know that you're part of something. Provide a way for customers to indicate their preferences. Segment the type of email you send with separate lists. So if you are sending out men's apparel, promotions for men's apparel and women's apparel, maybe you can separate that and allow people to say, I only want to get the men's, or I only want to get the women's, or maybe I want to get both. Maybe you have different product types. You could put checkboxes on your sign-up form, and you can say, hey, on this sign-up form, tell us with these checkboxes which products that you're interested in, or which product categories you're interested in. Give your subscribers a way to decrease email frequency. So this is a way that you can make your subscribers, give your subscribers a way to say, I don't want to get as much email from you. Just give me a way to reduce the amount of email that I get from you, and I will stay on your list. If you give them that option, some of them will take it, and you'll reduce your remove rate. And we talked about providing subscribers with content that they can sink their teeth into. I gave you a little bit of an example with the Chubby Shorts emails with the content that they curate, the funny pictures and images and snippets and text that they use to speak to the hipsters that buy their apparel. If you can build that content and speak to your subscribers and customers in a way that it will back up your brand and your company's meaning and your mission. If you can find that content and put it into your emails, your customers and your subscribers will have a better connection with you. Next thing, send consistently from your own domain. So if you are using a generic from domain, if it is some domain that you don't know where it came from, then look into getting your own domain set up. So if your company is just the example here, but this is an example. You can set this up with your email solution. With Email Direct, it's a possibility. With many other solutions, it's a possibility. With some, it's not. But find a solution that you can use your own from domain, because you're going to generate sender reputation on that domain based on the amount of opens, clicks, complaints, removes you get, and you want to be consistent. You want to always send out from the from domain so you can be familiar and get that sender reputation attached to your domain because you're a good email marketer. Encourage subscriber replies. Never use a do not reply from email address. No reply equals less engagement. Get people to actually come back and say something to you, because if they're talking to you, then you know that they are more engaged. And by the way, if anybody replies to an email, Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, Outlook, they all look at these things and they say, oh, they replied to this email. That means that the sender of the email must be a legitimate email sender, because you don't reply to spammers, right? Ask subscribers to add your from email address to their address book, and this is why it's important to use your own domain, so that if you ever change your email solution, you're not having to change your from email address and lose all the people that added your from email address to their address book because you used a generic domain, and now you got to switch when you switch email solutions. So make sure that you use a from email address that is your own domain. Let's talk about how to make your emails more relevant now. Understand your customer lifecycle and interest to increase relevancy. So understanding your customer lifecycle means you need to understand, do you sell products that need to be replenished? How often do they need to be replenished? Do you sell products that relate or go well with other products? Is there an upsell potential with your products? What's the ratio of one-time buyers versus repeat customers? So if you can answer these questions, or you can start to analyze to get to the answers of these questions, then you can start to understand your customers' motivations and what is going to cause your customer to buy. Are your customers motivated by coupons or incentives? Are they motivated by the time of the year or the season? Are they motivated by new product releases? Or are your customers finding your email content interesting enough to drive engagement? That would be something like, if you're creating content that is funny, or if it's interesting, or if it's content that someone can't get somewhere else, then that in and of itself is going to drive people to your website, and more web traffic should equal more sales. So the idea of putting work into your content can drive more sales. And this is an important one not to be overlooked, because giving people incentives is one thing, but when you have a content strategy that clicks with your subscribers, that makes them want to buy because they feel a connection with your brand, then you don't have to give them a coupon to come back and buy. Make your emails more timely, and we talked about this. Are you triggering messages on a one-to-one basis, or are you just sending out emails to everybody? Capitalize on opportune moments with individual customers and subscribers. So to do this, you need to outline the various customer lifecycle moments where a triggered email will be more appropriate than a scheduled blast. The simplest example is a welcome email to all new subscribers. Are you going to send a welcome email by sending out a scheduled blast to everybody that subscribed in the last week. Well, if you are, you're going to miss everybody that subscribed a week ago by 6 days. So trigger that email out. So capitalize on that opportune moment to trigger out an email. And then begin with the low-hanging fruit. Do you have an obvious upsell, cross-promotion, or other situation where a triggered email would be relevant and have the potential to drive sales? So welcome email will probably be the lowest hanging fruit, but an upsell might be the second thing if you have an obvious upsell to make. So welcome emails, we talked about that. What do you need to implement welcome emails? Well, all you really need is your sign-up form tied into your email solution. Whether your welcome email is going out through your e-commerce solution or an email marketing solution like Email Direct or some other solution that's sending out your email, you just need it to be tied, your sign-up form to be tied into that email solution with simple automation capabilities. Basically, the ability to say when they come in, trigger an email out to them, or maybe a series of emails. If you can automate the first 30 days of your subscribers' experience, even better. Product replenish emails. If you've identified that your products are something that get used and then need to be repurchased, you should be sending out, triggering out emails to these people to remind them to come back and buy. So what you need for that is segmentation by the product purchases within your email solution. You need to know who bought what within your email solution. Product cross-promotions and upsell emails. This is another obvious one. If they buy one product but not another, then maybe you wait 2 weeks and you trigger out that cross-promotion or that upsell email. So that's an opportunity that is probably another low-hanging fruit that is there. What do you need to do it? You need segmentation by the product purchases within the email solution. So you need to know what people bought within your email solution so that you can trigger out emails to those people that bought those things with related products. Optionally, you can have the product name, link, and image URL as well in your email solution so that you can merge that data into your emails. Product review requests. Are you selling product that you can ask for a review on? By the way, your product review requests are also a great opportunity to cross-promote other products. So while you're asking them to come back to your website and review the product that they bought, you should also be showing them products that are related to the product that they bought. Loyal customer rewards. This is for rewarding and interacting with the customers that are your best customers by segmenting by the number of purchases that they made. So you have people that have made one purchase, people that have made 2, 3, 4, and 5 purchases. Well, the people that are buying the most, that are making the most amount of purchases from you are your most loyal customers, and you should be interacting with them in a slightly different way. You should be rewarding them for that, or speaking to them in a different way, or just saying thank you. Same thing with your big spenders. What do you need for that? You need segmentation by the amount of money that they spent within your email solution. So if you can get the amount of money that your customers are spending and put that into a database field right next to their email address, and you can filter on that. Give me everyone that bought it that has spent at least X amount of money, then you're going to be able to interact with your big spenders in a different way. First-time buyer, second-time buyer incentives, we talked about that. You want to encourage your subscribers that have made a purchase from you to become your first-time buyer. It's very important and something that you can do to drive more customers. Second-time buyer incentive, this is turning people into repeat customers. So triggering out that email. Next strategies here, shopping cart abandonment emails. Also another strategy that is available to you and something that you could be doing. So what you will need for that, you need a website that allows users to register or sign in so that as users are registered and sign in, any purchases that aren't completed, you can send the email address to your email solution and put them into a particular list so you know that they're a cart abandoner. Optionally, you can also send in the product name, the link to the product, or a link to your shopping cart, along with a product image URL. And if you put that information in along with the email address that abandoned, then you can merge that data into your email. So shopping cart abandonment emails work. If you can get this data into your email solution, you can take advantage of it. Website retargeting emails. What you will need, a website which will allow users to register and sign in. Also, you need to be able to segment by the pages, products, or categories that people or website users are looking at on your website so that you can push that email information, or that you can push that information into your email solution. So if they're signed into your website, you know that visitor's email address, you know what pages they're looking at. If you can get that data out into your email solution, then you know what products they're looking at, and you can trigger email to those people. So website retargeting emails. Birthday emails, this is another one that's very easy. All you need to do is collect birth dates of your subscribers. Everybody has a birthday. Birthday emails work. People like to be told happy birthday. They like incentives on their birthday. Using transactional emails to sell more, we talked about this already. This is the idea of using your receipts, your forgot password emails, all the transactional emails that you send as an opportunity to speak to your subscribers and potentially sell more product to them. Every business is going to have their own appetite for that strategy, but find yours and be conscious of whether you are deciding to do this or not, because it could be a great opportunity for you. And then lastly, don't neglect your mobile users. We talked about this. There's a couple different options to cater to your mobile users. Responsive design is one. Fixed width design is another. Responsive design is the idea of using CSS media queries, which are something that anybody can use. It's not advanced technology. It's just there's HTML, there's CSS. This is what we use to style emails. And if you use CSS media queries, you can basically choose to apply styles that only will be applied to users that have a screen size less than X. So we'll only show these styles for people that are on mobile devices, essentially. And then what you can do is you can replace larger images with smaller images. Maybe you can decide not to show sidebar content that is absolutely required, and you can make the mobile experience better for those subscribers through responsive design. So it looks one way on a smartphone and another way on a desktop PC. So if you look at it on a desktop, you get the full layout. If you look at it on a mobile, maybe it reduces down to something smaller. So that takes a little bit of work, but anybody can do it because it's just HTML and CSS. And then the easier way to go about it is just fixed width design, which is making sure that you're coding for the lowest common denominator. Make sure your message is no wider than 600 pixels, and then test it. Make sure that you've looked at it on an iPhone and an Android phone, and make sure that you've looked at it on Hotmail, Outlook, Yahoo, AOL, all the popular email devices to make sure that it's rendering consistently. Maybe it doesn't adapt depending on the screen size, but at least it's consistent and everybody can see your message the way that you intend it to. And so that puts us just over our time, and I'm going to hand it back to you guys and open up to questions. Somebody on the ASP.NET storefront side want to pick up from here? Man, that ASP.NET show that's coming up is coming up fast, I guess. It seems that we have lost the ASP.NET team for now. They must be working hard on that show for you guys. Let's give them a sec.
Chris, can you hear me now?
I can.
Perfect. Excellent. Sorry, we had a little hiccup there with the audio. Any questions from anyone right now? Doesn't look like we have any questions, so must have been extremely informative, and everyone must have gotten all their answers out of the way. It's always great to hear.
Well, I appreciate the time and everybody's attention. Thanks so much for having me today.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being with us today, Chris.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for viewing today.